What's going on, folks? My name is Joe, aka J to the OE. Welcome or welcome back to Joe Eats Games, where we talk about video games, food, nerd stuff, or anything else that's going on in my life. I had recently finished 2 games, and the way it ended was so memorable, so whimsical, so amazing. And I was talking to another friend, and she had finished another game, and she had told me the ending was just meh. The game was a whole lot better than the ending, and it got me thinking that there are a lot of great games with great endings. So today, I'm going to talk to you about my favorite video game endings. There is a major spoiler alert, obviously. So on the tabs, I'm just going to actually name the games. That way, if you don't want to be spoiled, you can just skip right along. But before we get into any of the games, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments section, what is your favorite video game ending? So I might even do another video about worst video game endings, because it's just like some TV shows, man. Some TV shows like Friday Night Lights and The Office were great endings. Just great endings to a good show. And then there's other endings that was like, man, what just happened? You know, I didn't really like that. And I'm trying to figure out what TV endings did I not like. And I know there's a lot. They're just not as memorable, I guess, as those two. Those two are my absolute favorite TV show endings. But anyways, in no particular order, I just grabbed these 10 games that were my favorites, part of my collection. And yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is not all of Mass Effect. Mass Effect 3, oh, actually, that was disappointing. But Mass Effect 2 was one of the best video game endings that I've ever played, you know? Your entire game is you going and building up your team for the suicide mission. And based on how you know the team, and you know their strengths, and how you've strengthened them, you get to pick the squads of this suicide mission, and depending on how you go, depends on who lives and who dies during that suicide mission. And man, so good. It was so good. At first, I tried myself, and then a lot of people died. So I looked up the best ways to go, you know, and how could I get everybody to live? Because Mass Effect was great. Mass Effect 2 made you feel like you were the real commander of that ship, and you really cared about each of your crewmates, and you really wanted each and every one to live. At least I did. And so Mass Effect 2, one of the best video game endings I've ever played. One of the games that inspired this and another video a few videos ago, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Man, the ending, when you figure out even at the end of Act 2 that, you know, it was all fake, it was all a part of a magical illusion in a painting, and Mael, who turns out to be the main character, is wanting to stay in the painting, but it's not real. It's not real. And at the end, you had to decide who you had to go for. You had to either go for Verso, who wanted to destroy the painting and himself and all the characters in it that you've known and loved, or Mael, who wanted to stay in the painting, but you know it's not healthy, it's not real. Verso is dead, and I honestly could not decide who to go. I eventually, after sleeping on it, literally, I ended up going on Verso, and, you know, forcing Mael to go back in the real world. I replayed the save and did Mael, and man, that was not a good ending. Like, I knew I was happy and not happy for her at the same time, and for the rest of the squad. But man, realizing that essentially your entire playthrough of the people that you've gotten to know and gotten to love and gotten, you know, just feelings for were fake. And you know, you kind of felt the same way Mael did. Like, man, I love these characters. Man, what do you do? And so, what a decision, and what a game. I tell you, from start to finish, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was amazing. So, one of the best endings I've ever seen. Another great ending, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. this was my second foray into the Yakuza Like a Dragon series, you know? The first foray I've ever played was Like a Dragon, when Ichiban was the main character. And then here, with Kazuma Kiryu, only hearing about him in passing and seeing all the impact that he's made in all the other games, I know it didn't hit me as hard because I don't know what he's talking about, but it still was like, man, it got me so enthralled in Kazuma Kiryu's story that I wanted to play the entire series. And I have been. I'm still on Yakuza 4. You know, I've taken a really long break from it. And I don't know if I'm going to go back to it this year or next year now with the Switch 2 games coming out. But this ending was so cool. You know, I mean, you know, when we get older, we always want to know what legacy we've left. And for me, it made me think, like, man, what legacy? As I'm 40, and, you know, hopefully I'm only in my middle life. But, man, it got me thinking, like, shoot, like, what kind of impact have I done in the last 40 years? And, you know, just made me really empathize or whatever in Kiryu's story. Even though, yeah, I'm not in the Yakuza or the Mafia or whatever. But, like, all the people that he's impacted. And I just thought that was a really cool touch to Kiryu's story. And I loved how this ends. And, of course, everybody thought Kiryu was going to die, but he didn't. So hopefully we get to see more of Kiryu down the line. And the other video game that inspired this, Super Mario Wonder. Me and my son last weekend just beat this together. And I beat it a long time ago. I forgot how it ended, but that last Bowser battle with the rhythm and you having to dodge all the flame piranha plants, and then the very, very end, where you were just kind of playing along and seeing the credits roll by, and you having to touch all the credits names with all the different shells and all the different bounces and power-ups. With Mario, like, honestly, me and my son, for me, that was a core memory for me. And how we were just kept laughing, and it was whimsical, it was fun, it was scary enough, you know, for one, and I could just see the wonder in his eyes. You know, man, that was a really cool experience to be a part of, and to see him kind of experience it, and like, just like, wow, all these things that are happening, and jumping along and trying to get all the names was really, really fun. And just because of that experience with me, Super Mario Wonder is now in the top echelon of video game endings for me and my son. Another one of my favorite video game endings, The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 ends with Ciri going through some sort of trials with the Wild Hunt. And everything that you've decided to do with Ciri, whether you've let her speak up for herself or not, all the decisions that you've helped her make will decide whether or not Ciri will live through this trial. And man, I love those types of games where every choice matters for your ending. And yeah, I definitely had to look up something because I wanted my daughter Ciri to live. Yeah, I'm a save scummer, whatever, coming at me. And yeah, so yeah, and especially with the expansion of Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, I thought, man, it was really fun and really cool to see how all the payoff, all the decisions that you've made really pays off well at the end. And so Witcher 3, one of my favorite endings as well. Kind of taking a hard left turn here, but Doki Doki Literature Club. This, whew, from the cover and the back, it just makes you look like, oh, this is a nice little dating sim. No. And again, I've said spoiler alert through this whole time. The end of the first act is this girl killing herself and hanging herself, and then the game resets. And like, I love how it breaks the fourth wall. And at the very, very end, the lead girl just kind of leaves you stuck with her. And you have to like go into the computer code and delete her. Like, it was crazy. It took me a minute to figure it out. Like, or more than a minute. I was like just going through the dialogue for like 10, 15 minutes until I'm like, wait a minute. The way you start this game and the way you, and maybe it's something about that. And yeah, finally figured it out. I deleted her code, and then that was it. Like, that was crazy, breaking the fourth wall and even this whole story of death and suicide, it's like, wow. Yeah, so, you know, trigger warning also, but yeah, Doki Doki Literature Club, complete left turn, and it just made me want to play the entire game, and the way it ended was crazy. Another crazy game, the way it ended, Woldenstein II, the new Colossus. So Woldenstein is known for like just this bombastic, crazy, like it's almost like Fast and Furious like crazy action scenes. And the way it ended, one of the scenes that was so memorable was you have your like pregnant wife. She goes and like she saves you, and for some reason she's shirtless, and you see her like on top of you shooting Nazis as blood from other people is dripping down from her. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? And I thought that was so crazy and so bombastic. I just started laughing at the whole scene, even though I'm not really sure if you were supposed to laugh. But man, and yeah, the whole game is just a whole like, what? Huh? And yeah, it was super enjoyable to me. It's, you know, it's not gonna win any Oscars, but you know, it's a guilt. It's I would call this one of like a guilty pleasure game, and because it's just fun. It's a fun shoot 'em up. You get to beat up and shoot Nazis, and the ending is super crazy. So, Woldenstein II, Uncharted 4. You know, when we talked about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Legacies and what you're building, I thought the ending of this at the beach house with you and your wife and your daughter and you talking about all the memories that you had was a really nice and heartwarming, happy ending for my man Nathan Drake. Like, I was really happy with that. And it was just really cool, like being able to reminisce with all the games and reminiscing and like, oh yeah, and there's that. And then your daughter kind of not believing you of how like badass you were and how crazy your adventures were. I wonder, well, I don't know, I haven't really, well, I've had some crazy adventures, and I wonder if my son will believe, but yeah, that just really warmed my heart, and I just thought it was really cool going through memory lane like that, and so that is why this makes it one of my favorite video game endings. Ghost of Tsushima. All your life, you've been taught the samurai way, and then the samurai way gets demolished and destroyed, and you have to rescue your uncle, or grandfather? Oh, I forgot. No, it was uncle. And then you had to do some unsavory things just to rescue him. And then you had to decide whether, you know, go back to the samurai way, which didn't really work, or keep going to the way that's been working. And you end up fighting your uncle, and such a heartbreaking duel. And that was an amazing scene for me of like, man, like, what do I do? You know, do I respect the traditions of the past, or do I try to move forward to a better future? And man, I love stuff like that. And so, and Ghost of Tsushima, overall, beautiful game, amazing third-person action RPG. And I'm sad that Ghost of Yotei is not gonna continue this story, but the way this ended was amazing. And the last game I'm going to talk about, my favorite ending. This actually brought tears in my eye. Red Dead Redemption 2. Arthur Morgan. If you played Red Dead Redemption 1, you knew that Arthur Morgan did not exist there. So you probably knew that this man was going to die. And when that dude coughed on him, I didn't think it was anything until you figured out this dude had tuberculosis. And, you know, he lived his whole life as an outlaw, and he lived his last remaining weeks of life trying to redeem himself. And that, you know, if you made the good choices and you got up on that rock and you saw the horizon and that peaceful way to go, man, that brought tears to my eye. Like, you know, he did his best. He did his best to do right by the people that he've done wrong, and, you know, that was it. You know, my mentor once told me, tears live where our longings are. And yeah, I realized that was a big longing for me. And so, you know, I cried a little bit. And yeah, so Arthur Morgan, you are missed. And yeah, this game affected me more than I think to admit. So Red Dead Redemption 2. What a memorable, memorable way to go. So those are it, man. I gotta tell you, the first impressions and the endings are the things that I always remember. And yeah, those games leave a big lasting impression for me and my brain. So let me know in the comment section, what are your favorite video game endings? I'm really excited to hear about them. Otherwise, I will see you later, or I will see you another time.